It's interesting reading it because one of the things that came to my mind when I was reading it was I don't know whether you know the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
Well, I have to say I read it a long time ago, and I've probably forgotten most of it. But what struck me, because that was a very popular book many years ago, because it was someone who was arguing that spirituality was not opposed to practicality, and people tend to think you can just sit in a lotus position and whatever happens in the world doesn't really matter as long as you're there in this kind of spiritual nirvana. But what struck me reading your these 40 different practices was they were very practical in many ways, very sort of down to earth in many ways, and yet obviously the goal is to unlock, in the way that you've been describing a moment ago, to unlock people, to take away the resistance, and so that we can move forward spiritually, and obviously you have great interest in meditation and God, so it's quite interesting that here is a very practical book, and the very fact that there are 40 of them, it's sort of very, was that important, or did that, obviously it was a very instinctive thing when you wrote it, but did that become important to you as you sort of wrote it, that it had this sort of practical side to it?
Importance is a strange word. I wouldn't use the word importance. To me, it is what it is, and practicality is part of what it is. It's just astonishing, Steve, that you use the word practicality, because yesterday I had it in mind that I was going to speak with you today, and I was hanging the clothes on the clothesline in the garden, and I threw up a little question to God, to the universe. What's the word? What's the one word that I really want to say to Steve? And guess what it was? Practicality. Which is the first word that you put back at me.
Well, of course, the thing about it is, one of the little phrases which you may well know is practical Christianity, is one of the little phrases. I don't know whether it comes from Fillmore and I remember it was one of our great heroes here at Maidenhead is Tom Thorpe. I don't know whether Tom Thorpe has actually contributed to Unity FM in the States. Yeah. He's based in the States. Wonderful man. Beautiful guy, absolutely beautiful guy, and he has a very eloquent and he gave a little. In fact, I think it was one of these little profile slots, and he was talking about practical Christianity, and it's something that what's interesting in all of this is that it can be very simple. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be very cerebral. It can be very simple and very direct.
I'm really into that, Steve. Let me quote from someone pretty amazing, Leonardo da Vinci, and he said, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." Anyone can make something complicated. Who's the old? I think I've quoted in the book one of the former Liverpool football managers said, "Football is a simple game made complicated by idiots." And there's something around simplicity and practicality which is really, really key to me. When a lot of people that write spiritual books somehow, to me, seem to be divorced from the real world to a degree. And it's not a criticism. Maybe it's a degree of their success, and that they've been so successful at writing and lecturing and doing workshops that they have effectively given up the day job. And I ask myself, if I were that successful, in inverted commas, would I give up my day job? And the honest answer is no, because my day job is part of the whole bag. It's the whole thing of what I'm here for. There's a fabulous exercise, if I may say so, in the book around how to discover what your genius is. And your genius is the combination of brilliances that you have. And each of us have a certain number of brilliances. And the practice is a way of asking people who've known you for a long time, the pure person that you are underneath all the stuff, not what you do, but the person who you are. And what are your brilliances? You put those brilliances together, and it's a bit like a fingerprint. Each of us has a unique set of brilliances. You put those brilliances together, and that is your genius. And that's the thing you're put on this earth for. If your genius isn't the thing you're supposed to be doing, then question yourself, what are you doing? And so in my life, I know that part of what I'm supposed to be doing is as a leader in the National Health Service, and I work in the NHS and in social care in an integrated role. And I get so much fulfillment out of that. At any one time, we have about 1,500 people that my team are either treating or caring for. And so that's, to a degree, if I make a hash of leading this team, those people will not be getting such great service. They won't be experiencing such a great life. Well, that's a real privilege and something I need to really nurture myself. And I don't want to give that up. And I know that that's part of who I am. And so this stuff has to be practical because I'm living in the real world. I'm not one of those people who's potentially fortunate enough to be able to be an author, just being an author, sitting in a garret or in a cave up in the mountains. I'm living in the real world. I have 3 girls. I have a wife. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life. And so potentially, with all these things going on, I mean, my budget every day is £135,000. It's quite a lot of money, and I've got quite a lot of staff. So there's a big potential to be stressed out. And if I'm stressed out and I'm not okay, then I won't be a good leader. And so as much as anything, when you're coaching, a lot of what you're coaching the coachee around, actually, you find it's useful for yourself. And as much as anything, writing the book I found useful for myself. I use these practices. Every single one of these I've done multiple times because they're great in terms of clearing out the rubbish in my life and really focusing and getting perspective on what I'm doing day by day, minute by minute. So practicality is absolutely at the center of all of this. It isn't anything airy-fairy. This is nitty-gritty.